This is NT Sports Blitz Podcast, episode 3. I am the fat boy, but you'll probably just call me Niece. Holla at me.
What's going on, everybody? This is your boy G Perry, and we're coming to you live, episode 3 of the NT Sports Blitz. We're excited to be back in the fold with you. Go ahead, Neef.
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time you're listening to this. Let's go. Y'all ready? It's strictly sports. This is what we're doing over here. All right, G, what you want to start with, man?
So kicking off, we had an interesting last 7 days that took place in the world and in sports as well. Bubba Wallace, the black race car driver in NASCAR, he's been involved in a lot of goings-ons, and recently they alleged that there was a noose that was found hanging in the garage where he was scheduled to participate in last week's race. And upon further review, the FBI got involved and they did some investigating, and they came to the conclusion that it actually wasn't what it looked to be. They claimed that rope had been hanging there in garage number 4 since October. So it was no way of knowing that Bubba was going to be coming out of that particular garage. So they're saying that it wasn't a hate crime, and supposedly that's a relief for NASCAR and other people involved, because it's not what it appeared to be.
Did they say whether or not it's something that is that useful, like that kind of rope useful in NASCAR? Like, why would that kind of rope, even if it's been there since October? Did they state that why it would be there, or?
It's an object that's used in that particular garage, so they're trying to lessen the blow. They use it. Did they say what it was used for though? They're trying to lessen the blow. It was supposed to be like some a garage pulled down or something along those lines. It's the story that they put out there. But the intel that they came up with is that there was no one that entered the garage ahead of time recently, and there was no way of anybody knowing what garage was going to be assigned to what race car driver. That's basically the conclusion that they came to.
All right, but forget what they came to. How do you feel about it, G? Do it sound like BS to you?
It sounds questionable, but it also sounds possible as well. What I do like is the unity and the solidarity that I saw shown amongst NASCAR, because before that race started on Sunday, Bubba Wallace was riding in his car. He wasn't driving. He just was riding along in it, and his entire team and all the other NASCAR drivers and their teams, they all walked around that track together in unison to show that they are all together in this fight against racism, against social injustice, social inequality. And they're basically taking a stand against people in the South that are still with the Confederate flag being present, and they're still with racism and classism and feeling like white people are superior to blacks. So it's a big deal to see NASCAR stepping up like that, because NASCAR has predominantly been a white sport for our entire lives. And even before we were born, you've really never seen black people being involved in NASCAR. So I think that's a huge step in the right direction.
Listen, I didn't even know there was a black man in NASCAR. And I've heard the name Bubba Wallace before, which is crazy. I've heard that name before, but it hasn't ever felt like something that black people participated in. Really, even women. I mean, when I think of names in NASCAR, I might think of Danica Patrick. Is the first one that jumps out. Nobody else really does. So, to me, it seemed like. Let me ask you something. Because I affiliate the Confederate flag with racism.
Me too.
Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, end of the day, as black people, for the most part, I think we all affiliate the Confederate flag with that because they want to keep slavery.
Mm-hmm. Also,
so
also on Sunday, some ignorant person, they flew a plane over where the race was being taken place at down in Florida, and they flew a plane pulling that Confederate flag. So they're like, we don't care what direction y'all trying to go in. We're still going to hold tight to our old values and how we feel. And it's just really is a slap in the face. It's sad that some people in this world are filled with so much hatred and bigotry, that they just can't live in peace and harmony. Understand, we're all human beings. We all bleed blood the same as everybody else. We all have, we all put one leg at a time in a pair of pants. Like, it just
Right.
it makes no sense to be that way, to just have this rage and hatred that because of the color of your skin, I'm going to treat you with so much evil and vitriol. It's ridiculous. I mean, you and I, we're both military veterans. So we were around all different kinds of people. I just can't fathom being that way. I come from a diverse family. Now, not my immediate family, but in the large grand scale of my family, I have all different races in my family, all different ethnicities, all across the board. So me personally, as a human being, I just can't fathom treating somebody different because of the color of their skin. It's just asinine and ignorant of the highest magnitude to me, man. I just really wish people would get a grip and learn life and grow up and mature and just get out of that ignorant state of mind.
Even on the business side of things, for me, it seems crazy that because we are two black men who affiliate the Confederate flag with racism, business-wise, if we just even talking dollars, if NASCAR is a racist, it seems racist. Like, don't you want the black dollar? You get what I'm saying? Like, for y'all business to grow, it would be something you would think you would want to include other ethnicities because that might bring more fans to NASCAR. Is something I never checked for. I'm not interested in watching it. I'll watch an old NBA game before I watch NASCAR. You know, so it's like, even business-wise, it's like y'all so stuck in your ways that you will risk losing money to stick to this whole situation. Well, right. I don't think now they are. Now it seems like you're trying to turn a corner and be more open-minded. But I mean, like, that's crazy. And then I even heard that somebody had some poll up or something in somewhere, not actually NASCAR, but I guess somebody tailgating or something that actually stood tall enough to be over the stadium. I think I heard something like that. I don't know how true it is.
Well, I mean, that's a good point that you're bringing up, because NASCAR ratings have been on a decline for an extended period of time. And you have to evolve. You have to grow with the changes of the world, of your market, of your sport, and things of that nature. And from a marketing standpoint, NASCAR, in my opinion, has done a piss poor job of marketing their sport and branding it to African Americans, because obviously they didn't care, because there was no inclusion there. You had a group of white people, and I'm not going to say all of them, but they like to get together, tailgate, drink beers, get wasted, and go out and watch the race. And that was just a sport that for generations upon generations, they can just go out and dominate and just have the good boys crew, because women wasn't included in that either for many years until Danica Patrick broke that barrier. But I mean, if you don't evolve, you're going to get rolled over. And what they'll end up seeing is a large lack of interest in their sport. Their ratings will get even worse. And people ultimately end up turning their back. Now, the NASCAR purists and people that love that sport, they'll probably always be there. But right. If you're not growing, you're dying. So, I mean, if that was my organization, I would not be excited about that going forward.
And then I'm not going to say these guys' names because they're not worthy of their names being said. But there was one driver who quit NASCAR because of the Confederate flag ban. And then there was another guy who said that something to the extent of him wishing that the noose was around Bubba Wallace's neck.
That's just hatred. That's just ignorance, man.
That's an ass whooping.
Well, what goes around comes around. At the end of the day, that's a life principle. It could be worded in many different forms, but the message is still the message. Because like in the Bible, it says to do unto others as you want done unto you. What goes around comes around. It's just the reality of life. It's the fact of life, and it could be the worst possible moment when that person can least tolerate that act taking place. Is when that'll come back to bite you in the butt. So either they'll learn the easy way, or they'll learn the hard way, but they're gonna learn
eventually, right?
Just like Trey dad told him on Boys in the Hood, "Oh, you gonna learn, Trey?"
Right? Yeah, that's a classic. All right, so COVID-19, we've been talking about this for the last 3 weeks. More cases have come out. Jurkic, my man from
Denver?
His name Jurkic, right?
No,
Jurkic just okay. The Joker.
Yep.
Okay, the Joker has come out with COVID. It's just happened. We've talked about Ezekiel Elliott. We talked about some players with the Texans. Should we continue with the season? Should seasons happen right now? How you feeling as far as that?
It's crossing all the sports. I recently just seen another update 5 minutes ago before we kicked off the episode. So
right.
Tennis. It's hit tennis.
Oh yeah, my man. Yeah. What's his name?
Djokovic.
Right. He was out partying and all that. They was grinding him up.
He's the number one tennis player in the world, and he's tested positive for COVID-19. But unfortunately, he decided to have a party in multiple gatherings amidst them having some tennis tournaments. And now it's other tennis players that's been testing positive as well. And I think they have issue with that because it's like, why did you have that gathering? You should have never did that.
Yeah, even if he's not guilty of it, even if his gathering wasn't the cause of theirs, it kind of looked like that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Right. So it looks reckless. It looks inconsiderate. And unfortunately, some people aren't taking proper precautions. Baseball, the Phillies had to shut down spring training. They just had 2 additional Phillies players that tested positive. Right. So initially, it was 3 Phillies players, and it was about 5 staff members. Now they just had more players added to that list. You have the NBA. You have players that have tested positive. You have college football. A lot of different schools have large numbers of players that tested positive. And that's why I had the thought, should they just cancel sports until they really get a wrap on these things? There was a boxer that was scheduled to fight on July 2nd. Not heavyweight, but he's a champion. And he just tested positive, so now they have to push that event back. So sports is so important to the economy. So people who don't like sports, they don't care and they turn a blind eye to it. But the economy is so impacted by sports, you can't just sweep it under the rug and turn a blind eye to it. I know for a fact, if college football doesn't take place this year, the state of Alabama can lose $2 billion.
That's the bar.
There's no professional sports in Alabama. None. So
that's all they got.
Yeah, college sports is all that they have. So the economy can go into a downturn. We can go through a recession. We can enter a depression. And people saw what the beginning of this year looked like once COVID first took place. It can get worse. It can get worse. So I know some people, they could care less about sports. They're really focused on the protests and the marches and things of that nature. And they feel like, forget sports. Sports aren't important. But yes, sports are important. What about all the people that work at the stands?
Right.
What about the people that work at the stadiums, the concession stands, vendors? That's their livelihood.
The parking lot.
Yes, the parking lot attendants. Is so many different layers that's involved in this thing. Another aspect of it is that there's people that are professional bettors in sports. That's how they earn their living. It's not illegal because they passed the law for sports betting to be legal in the United States. But that's how some people feed their families. Some people are handicappers where they give advice on what games to pick and whether to take the point spread or bet against it and things of that nature. So it's a lot of different layers to this for people that are one track minded and they're like, screw sports, it's not important. No, it really is. It really is. That's my thoughts on it.
They definitely don't got a job or know somebody with a job down there that's sitting at home right now. I remember the year I was in school, but I was working at the Wells Fargo Center and I was working at Lincoln Financial. And when both these strikes was around the same time, and it was like, I was blessed the fact that I was in school, post 9/11, GI Bill and all that, and I was still straight. But that was a little tough, not getting that bread. That was a little tough situation. Mm-hmm. Now I'm curious, how do you feel about the bubble situation? 'Cause I don't know how I feel for real. Like, do you think they can do the Orlando thing like the NBA? Because I'm pretty sure the NFL can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think, because everything's on Sunday, so it ain't that many places where you can lock in like that. But do you think the NBA bubble situation is something that can work with how they got to set up?
Honestly, I don't see COVID going away because human beings are not going to eliminate interacting with one another. It's not going to happen. And there's no way to regulate things and force people to stay away from folks for an extended period of time so that this virus can die down and go away once and for all, because some people are just rebels. Some people are clueless. Some people feel like I don't believe anything the government says. And some people are like, nobody's going to tell me what to do. So when you have factions of folks that's not abiding by the rules or guidelines that's been rolled out there, then you can't get the long-term effect that you're looking to have.
Right. And you got to
keep starting over again and again and again. That's why you can't get the progress that's needed to be had.
And you got to keep in mind, too, the fact that it's summertime. You know what I'm saying? Everybody getting a little – I think the spring and stuff was cool because it was still a little cool. Once that heat hit and you want to be outside, you want to be in shorts, you want to be at the beach, I think that plays a part. If we're using a different space, let's say it was like December, people are more willing to stay in the house, you know, when it's colder outside. Then you talking about the summertime, you know, everybody, you know, we even know, you know, in the hood, you know, when it gets hot outside, it's crime is going to be because everybody's outside. There's going to be a lot going on. And
Right.
even with I was just in Atlanta. You know, they're not wearing no mask in the markets, in the stores, anything. Only time they made you wear a mask when I was in Atlanta, I was down there for 4 days when I got our feet done. That's it. Every other place I went to, they was in supermarkets and they was in Sam's Club. They was everywhere, restaurants everywhere, no mask.
And what's scary, so for instance, Nikola Jokic, he tested positive, but he was asymptomatic. So he showed no symptoms that he had COVID-19, and he's younger. So you have a lot of people that may be younger and they could be asymptomatic and not show any signs of having COVID-19. But now if they're being irresponsible and reckless, they can go around their older relatives or relatives who have health issues, and now they're contracting it as a direct result of somebody being reckless. Now they end up losing their lives and things of that nature because proper precautions aren't being taken place.
And let's not front. We're not a political podcast, but Donald Trump, our president, or y'all president, has been, I'm not saying UG, but just the world's president, or the United States president, is just having rallies with no mask on. And if you got the head of our country saying it's okay to be this way, you get what I'm saying? What can you do?
Yeah, and there's a flip side to it. Definitely is an agenda. Unfortunately, the medical industry, the hospitals, they get paid more money if they have people that are dying as a direct result of COVID-19. They have a financial incentive. So you have some people that have passed away and died, and I don't have factual proof of it, but this is my opinion. You have false documentation that's being taken place that some people are dying for other causes, but it's being listed as COVID-19 because there's a financial incentive involved in it. And that's
Right.
just capitalistic society as a whole taking advantage of an opportunity, because America is always about that almighty dollar, unfortunately.
Right. So Major League Baseball, right? They finally come to a agreement as far as playing these games. For me, it sticks out because it was a point, and this probably was before, or maybe when we were younger, but where Major League Baseball was like it was America's pastime.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I feel like they're in third place as far as sports in America. I feel like the NBA, I feel like the NFL and the NBA, if you look at Sports Center, even when everything's going on, you don't see baseball highlights. That's like the end of the 60 minutes of Sports Center or whatever. So I feel like it was major for them to come to an agreement as far as getting something done and not canceling the year, because I don't know if they would have been able to come back from missing this year. How you feel about everything that's going on with baseball?
Well, third place is you being generous, because they might be lower on the totem pole than that. I mean, it's possible that UFC, that mixed martial arts, might have surpassed baseball at this point. But I just want to give some of the specifics. So the Major League Baseball Players Association, I believe, is the strongest union in sports. So they've been negotiating with baseball owners since March and trying to come to an agreement to actually have a season. And the owners kept putting propositions out there, and the players kept denying it, turning it down. No, we don't agree. We don't agree. They united together and they stuck to their guns.
Right.
Finally made an agreement, and there is supposed to be a baseball season going forward. They agreed to a 60-game season. Now, a normal baseball season is 162 games, but baseball typically starts like the last few days of March is when the season would have started.
Right.
So we're already almost at the end of June, so they missed a lot of time. So you can't recoup that lost time. So July 23rd or 24th is tentatively scheduled to be opening day of the season. They agreed to a 10-team playoff. The National League is actually going to have a designated hitter. That's a big deal because that's only been in the American League forever.
Right.
In the National League, the pitcher is your ninth batter. So pitchers have to hit in baseball. In the National League. In the American League, pitchers don't hit. They have a designated hitter. So now they added that new thing in there that they're going to allow the National League to have a designated hitter. So that's actually going to impact strategy with the games and things of that nature. So I like that twist. And then teams are going to play each divisional opponent 10 times. And they're also going to play teams that's in their geographical location as well. So, for instance, the Phillies are going to play their divisional opponents 10 times each, and then they'll play like the Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, because they're in the American League, but they're in the Phillies' geographical location. That's how that's going to go.
Right. And one thing that sticks out to me is, and I think maybe might even bother me about baseball, like you said, it's 162 games. With doing 60 games, every game means so much more than that's really like 3 games. Or math-wise, 120, almost 3 games, 2.5 games for 1 game. So every game means more now than it meant in a 162 game series.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard it being discussed on ESPN a few days ago, and they basically were saying, like, in baseball, a team could get hot and have a hot streak. And over the longevity of a season of 162 games, that's not going to sustain itself. But now, because you're playing a shortened season, now it evens the playing field. Because if a team gets hot for an extended period of time with a shortened season, that could bump them up and make it hard to actually catch that team. So the point of it is that over the longevity with a normal season, the more talented team would probably end up having the best record. They would win their division, make the playoffs, things of that nature. But with a shortened season, like you just mentioned, Neef, every game counts that much more. It gives the less talented teams a fighting chance, in my opinion.
Okay. So
moving on, we want to definitely touch on Malcolm Jenkins, the free safety in the NFL, former Eagle. He's now the New Orleans Saints player again. Malcolm Jenkins was hired by CNN last week as a contributor to their news station.
Right.
I don't know about you, Neef, but I've never seen in my time in life where a current professional athlete was hired to be a contributor to a news station. And CNN at that is not a local station that he was added to. CNN is a very big deal. So we definitely just wanted to delve into that and some of the off the field achievements and accomplishments and things that Malcolm Jenkins has done in the community. We definitely want to dig in to that. I know, me living in Philadelphia, as he was an Eagles player, Malcolm Jenkins was very out in the open and on the front lines doing community service and helping build new parks and just giving up his time and his money. And it's been a consistent thing, not just a one-time thing or a publicity stunt. But he's really been a grassroots guy on the front lines leading the charge in the community. So I definitely want to commend him for earning that accolade and getting that position with CNN as well.
Well, for me, first of all, I'm not a CNN guy. I'm an MSNBC kind of guy. But I'm interested in seeing the hire is cool, but I want to see what you actually do with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely good to see. I think they picked a good guy. Like I said, like you said, he's one of the first guys, standing up, got something to say. I think he's like I said, I think he's definitely one of the guys you want to go with. I just want to see what they do with him. Hiring him is cool, but it's still a wait and see for me and see how y'all use him. You know, you can sign somebody. We've seen plenty of, and I'm going back to the sports aspect of things. We've seen guys sign to a team, and then the team not use them right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm more interested in seeing how they use them.
That's true. But Malcolm Jenkins has been very vocal and an advocate for change. Colin Kaepernick protested back in 2016. Malcolm Jenkins was vocal about things. He physically protested, raising his fist during the national anthem before games started. And he also was a part of a coalition for the NFL where he partnered with Anquan Boldin. I believe Eric Reed was a part of the organization and a few other guys that basically were being mediators between the NFL players and just things going on in the urban community and just trying to really strike a blow and make a dent and have some real impact. But I believe you asked a question recently, why did people have some hatred for Malcolm Jenkins?
Yeah, what was the big issue between like the Malcolm Jenkins and I haven't heard Colin Kaepernick say anything about, and I might be wrong.
Well,
it was Eric Reed, really, right?
Yes, and Anquan Boldin also.
Because it seemed like Anquan Boldin was with. I thought Anquan Boldin was with Malcolm Jenkins
initially, but things changed.
Right. And so if we find out, hold on, because I'm. Let me ask you a question, because anybody go into it.
Good.
It seemed like y'all should be all on the same side. So what's the difference in what Malcolm Jenkins was doing and him and Anquan, and then they falling out? And what was the difference? You get what I'm saying? Go into that a little bit.
Well, there was a bigger agenda, and looking on the surface, you would feel that we're all fighting for the same cause, so we should all be heading in the same direction and being supportive of one another. But Eric Reed and Anquan Boldin, they felt like Malcolm Jenkins was a sellout because he came to an agreement with the NFL. The NFL agreed to donate a certain amount of money every year to various organizations, for African-American organizations and things in the urban community. And I know some of those players and guys involved with that organization felt like that was the wrong move, that they paid you off. It's pretty much how they looked at that.
Right.
That you had a price tag on your head, that you really forfeited the cause for a dollar sign.
All right, let me hold before you go. Maybe I'm wrong, but didn't Eric Reed and Kaepernick take a check from the NFL?
Yes.
Okay, now.
Yes.
Is there a difference in those two situations? Because from what you're gathering, because what I'm gathering, Malcolm Jenkins wanted money donated to, and that's why he did what he did. Now we're talking about a situation where as though Colin Kaepernick, not saying that they don't got the right mindset or whatever, they actually receive money for themselves, right?
Well, Kaepernick settled with the NFL because he filed a lawsuit. He sued the NFL because they blackballed him. Right. And this is also a reason why some Kaepernick detractors got mad at him, because they felt like he shouldn't have took a check, that he should have kept fighting a good fight and kept going against the powers that be, for the lack of a better word. But Kaepernick settled. He got a check for $20 million from the NFL, and he's well within his rights to do so. He don't have to keep doing what.
But I'm saying, if you're gonna come for Malcolm and say Malcolm a sellout because he didn't take money for himself. He took money for charities. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference? I'm trying to.
Well, Anquan Boldin and some of the other guys feel like it was hush money, that they wanted them to stop the activism. They wanted them to stop resisting, and they want them to be good soldiers. So let's dangle this carrot, which is the amount of money that they chose to contribute to get you to go away. That's how that was being looked at. And it was being looked at like, okay, you're supposed to be on the front line and one of the leaders of this organization. You shouldn't have moved that way unless we all agreed that we were going to do that. I think that's where the tension and division came in, because Malcolm Jenkins, in the opinion of those guys, he jumped the gun and went ahead and made some final agreements without consulting with the other guys, and all of them actually agreeing to that. So that's no different than being in a group together, a R&B group, a rap group, or whatever, and one member of the group makes a decision for the whole entire group, and another member has ever had anything discussed with them. I think they would be pissed off in that situation as well. That's where some of that backlash came from.
But as the NFL, don't you kind of want them not to be? If they're better united than separate. And I understand what you're saying as far as don't feel the type of way about what Malcolm did. But to me, the NFL was almost like a win because it's like, all right, when they all together and we working, we coming at you. Now we separated some of it. You got Eric Reed and we don't know where Colin at with Eric Reed or, and Eric Reed do a lot more talking than Colin do. But it seems like now we got 4 separate entities instead of 4 people together coming at it, which might be strong. Like the whole fist thing. You get what I'm saying?
It's called divide and conquer.
Right.
So get them to turn against one another, and you'll lessen the impact that they're able to have. But moving on.
We ain't talking about Jerry Jones, yo. We ain't talking about Jerry. We can get to Jerry Jones in a minute. Let's talk about this NFC East breakdown. That's what I want. I knew he's going to go Jerry Jones. Nah, I ain't worried. Fuck Jerry. I'm sorry. Forget Jerry. Let's talk about the NFC East because I'm interested. Well, I kind of know where you stand. We kind of stand the same, but let's go into it. Who do you see winning the NFC East, G? And why?
Well, I don't want to just give a forecast of the winner of the division. I want to break this division down.
Okay.
There's 4 teams. You had the Washington Redskins, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. But I want to see. Let's start with who you see winning, and then go back. You get what I'm saying? Or you got to do it another way?
Yeah, but I want to. The floor is yours.
All right, I'm just saying. All right, so I could see the Eagles winning the NFC East. I see Carson Wentz. Yeah, let me go. I'm gonna give my perspective, and then you can give them the stats. All right. So Carson Wentz, I feel like Carson Wentz gonna have better weapons. Sanders, he's gonna be better. I think he might be one of the best up and coming top 5, 6 running backs in the league. A lot of speed. He took him to the playoffs without no weapons. He just had 2 tight ends, and you still got the 2 tight ends who might be the best 2 tight end combo in the league next to, my Minnesota boys might have something to say about that. But so I like that look. They went and got Slay they got Slay as the corner. What defensive lineman they picked up? They picked up a defensive end, didn't they?
Yeah, they signed Javon Hargrave from Pittsburgh defensive
right.
Team.
So I see the Eagles winning the NFC East in my perspective. Now you go ahead and you want to just talk about the Eagles or what you want to do? I'm pretty sure we both got the Eagles winning the division, right?
We're gonna recap the division.
Okay.
I see the Washington Redskins coming in last in the division again, because football is a game where you have to dominate the line of scrimmage from a blocking standpoint on offense, so you're able to run the ball effectively and move the chains.
Right.
They lost their best player this offseason. That was Trent Williams.
Right.
Who didn't even play last year.
Right.
Held out. So they ended up finally trading him to San Francisco and got a mid-round draft pick back in return. They have an aging Adrian Peterson returning at running back. They have Darius Geis coming back at running back, but he can't stay healthy, and he's had knee issues his first 2 seasons in the NFL. Dwayne Haskins is their quarterback, but he's young. He's unproven.
Right.
Didn't have the greatest season last year. They do have a new coach in Ron Rivera. They have a talented young up-and-coming wide receiver, Terry McLaurin.
Yes, he balled. Yep.
A rookie out of Ohio State last year. He actually killed the Eagles in that opening week game 1 matchup. He had a couple of long touchdowns on us. But Washington, they're weak at tight end. Vernon Davis finally retired.
They got what's name off the books. He was hurt for a couple of years. What was the other tight end name?
Reed.
Yeah.
He couldn't stay healthy. He had issues with concussion. So Washington, they lost a lot. They did add Chase Young in the draft, who by many's opinion was the best player in the draft, but they're not solid in the secondary. So I don't see Washington making any leaps and bounds from a record standpoint.
Let me ask you this:
5 games.
Do you think they should address the quarterback situation? with Haskins, or do you see what Haskins got another year? Do you give Haskins another year? Because you could have went Cam Newton, you could have went what's my man? We could have went Kaepernick. Do you think they should have went with somebody else, or they should give him a year to see what Haskins is really made of? Because he had a little, it wasn't that much shine, but he had a couple seconds there where he showed he had potential.
No, you have to be patient and take a wait and see approach. I mean, giving a quarterback a couple games to play with limited weapons, with injured players. Brandon Sheriff is one of Washington's best players, one of their offensive linemen. He got hurt last year. Right. So Dwayne Haskins was not playing with a full deck of cards. He didn't have all those weapons. So when a team is evaluating a quarterback, you need to see that quarterback play with all his weapons and actually give him time to learn the system and grow in the system so he can start to flourish. Right. Drew Brees is a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Drew Brees wasn't lighting it up his first 2 years in the NFL. He was inconsistent. He threw interceptions and things that nature. And then in year 3 is when he finally took off. So I think, in my opinion, Washington needs to take a wait-and-see approach and allow Dwayne Haskins a fair opportunity to flourish as a quarterback and allow him to get some consistency with the players that you're building around him, and then make a decision. I think doing anything else is just be hasty.
And if you're thinking, because I've been thinking, you said 4 games. 4 games put you right there, number 1 pick, Lawrence out of Clemson. So you can see what Haskins going to give you. If he don't give you nothing, you might be right there set up to get. They saying my man Lawrence out of Clemson might be one of the best prospects you've seen. He a can't miss prospect.
Well, that's if there is a season for the NFL and for college football as well. So it's going to be interesting going forward to see how things play out in that regard.
But if it ain't a season in college football, you still don't think nobody plays? Lawrence ain't the number 1 pick coming out?
It's possible, but it's not a guarantee.
Okay.
It's possible, but not a guarantee, because teams like to have data. They like to have information and know what they're going to get in a prospect. So going from an entire season ago and then not playing, that's a drastic change. That's part of why Cam Newton isn't signed yet. It has something to do with that, because teams want to know what they're getting.
But he was injured, though.
Unknowns in sports is not a good thing. That's a bad thing. But I think that the New York Giants are going to come in 3rd place in the division. The Giants did make some upgrades. They reached at the 4th pick and drafted Andrew Thomas out of Georgia, who was like the 3rd or 4th rated offensive tackle. So it's not the fact that they took a tackle at 4; it's just the player that they actually took at 4 was very questionable. They followed the Raiders, because the Raiders did that last year, moving up and drafting Clelin Ferrell out of Clemson at number 4, and he was ranked as like the 13th or 14th best player on a big board. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But I know that the Giants wanted to solidify their offensive line and make sure that they're able to protect Daniel Jones at quarterback.
Right.
Because Daniel Jones, he does have some weapons. Saquon Barkley is one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL, a very explosive player. You got Evan Ingram at tight end. Sterling Shepard is a good wide receiver. He's solid.
Golden
Tate, they signed as a free agent. Darius Slayton had an excellent season as a rookie. Yep. I think he had about 8 touchdown catches as a rookie. And you have weapons. But, again, football, you have to make sure that your line of scrimmage is solidified on the offensive and defensive side of the field. So I think in year 2 with Daniel Jones at quarterback, the Giants will be able to take a step forward and make some progress offensively. But I don't think they have enough pieces on the defensive side of the ball to be able to be a playoff team. So I see the Giants, they probably win anywhere from 6 to 8 games. But
now, let me ask you this, because now remember last year, Daniel Jones got selected. People was looking crazy. I don't feel too now when I look back at it, he didn't have an awesome season, but Daniel Jones really showed some times where as though he really looked solid. And he had Saquon the whole year. Saquon was hurt and missed some games too. So with them weapons and stuff like that, I feel like so I'm not justifying the pick at 4, but I kind of trust them more because of the Daniel Jones pick last year. So I think maybe they might know something we don't know, because I feel like Daniel Jones was a solid pick. It was a lot of scrutiny going to Giants when they picked Daniel Jones. It don't feel like that no more. How you feel about it?
I mean, time will tell. Daniel Jones had weapons that Dwayne Haskins didn't have. And Dwayne Haskins wasn't thrust right in. as early as Daniel Jones were. Schedule matters as well with teams you play. The the coaching matters. The coaching definitely matters. The offensive coordinator, like game script and what system you have in play. Like those things matter. Washington was really like a ground and pound type team, and they really didn't have an open playbook. It was a lot of dink and dunking and screen passes and stuff like that. So that's why I'm saying you need to give these guys time to mature and to blossom and to develop. They have to be groomed. You got to develop your quarterback. They don't just come in and turn into a masterpiece. You got to invest and pour into those guys in order to get them to become what they can become in order for them to fulfill their potential.
But I'm not mad at just 6-8. I can see. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants won 8. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, anywhere from like 6-10 to 8-8, I see the best possibility for the Giants.
Okay.
Coming in the number 2 slot. I think the Eagles are going to come in second, but it'll be close.
Hot take.
I think it will be about a game of separation. The Eagles just lost Brandon Brooks for the season,
right.
and Brandon Brooks is the Eagles' best offensive lineman.
Number 1 guard in the league.
He's their best. He's their best offensive lineman. So you can't dismiss that as not being a big deal. Also, Jason Peters is not back in the fold for the Eagles as of yet. So you have 2 holes to fill on the offensive line. If you can't win the offensive line, you can't win long term. So I am excited about some of the additions that the Eagles made in the offseason. I mean, they traded for Marquise Goodwin. We needed speed. You can't go faster than him. Marquise Goodwin is not only an NFL football player, he's an Olympic track and field athlete as well. So he has tons of speed. They also drafted Jalen Reagor out of TCU in the first round.
He a fast guy too, right?
Oh, yes. And they drafted a couple other late-round receivers that had some speed. Getting a healthy Deshaun Jackson back will make a huge difference. Him being paired with Carson Wentz. Alshon Jeffrey, if he's healthy, that'll give us a solid possession receiver to go along with Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. I don't think the Eagles filled the number 2 running back spot as of yet. Jordan Howard left. He was a perfect complement for Miles Sanders. So that's still to be proven if Miles Sanders can be an every down back and handle getting 18 to 25 touches a game, if he'll be able to sustain that. So that's something we can wait to see.
I feel like Sanders is not only – I don't think if he get 18 to 20 touches, they won't be strictly out of the backfield. You know, I think he showed the ability to be able to get out the backfield and get the balls in his hand and make magic. I'm also interested in seeing them losing that Malcolm Jenkins leadership at the safety position. I think he was the leader of that defense, so – I'm interested in seeing that. I think the Brooks thing was major, like you said, definitely major. How you feel about the secondary?
Well, on the defensive side of the ball, the Eagles have to get better at rushing the passer. So I do like the addition of Javon Hargrave, but they could have also. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney is still a free agent. He's still out there,
right?
So why not add him to your team? I mean, Jadeveon Clowney impacted the playoff game when we played Seattle. He knocked Carson out of the game. Had the Eagles acquired him and picked him up, that play never occurs because he would have been on our team. So that's still something that's out there that's up in the air.
How you feel about the Jamal Adams talk?
Well, Jamal Adams is
I'm just talking about for the Eagles. I ain't talking about other than that. They were talking about bringing them in.
Jamal Adams is a whole different aspect. I saw some speculation out there where it was put out there about a Zach Ertz for Jamal Adams trade. Hold on, G. If that was on the table, I would be for that because Jamal Adams is in his 4th year in the NFL. He's an All-Pro. He's one of the 3 best players at his position. We have Dallas Goedert, so we have a replacement for Zach Ertz if we were to like make a move like that. So,
you don't feel like Zach Ertz is one of the top 3 players in this position? I think he if he not, he in a conversation.
Yes, I do. But Jamal Adams plays the position that the Eagles are weak at.
Right.
And we have a replacement for Zach Ertz. Dallas Goedert could definitely step in and be a number one tight end. So I think that the the reward would be great enough to pull a trigger. If that deal was on the table, I would do it in a heartbeat.
And that might be a win for the Jets too, because Zach Ertz would definitely be the type of thing. I just lost his name. The quarterback for the Jets. What's his name?
Darnold.
Sam Darnold. He might need that. Like, he need that security blanket, and I think Zach Ertz would be a good look for that.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Zach Ertz he's not in his first few years in the league. He's been in the league for a number of years. Contract extension will be coming up soon as well. So you have to look at the salary cap and take those things into consideration as well. So
and it'll definitely take more than Zach Ertz to get Jamal Adams. He'll be part of a package. You're not just going to get a straight up Jamal Adams.
But if that was something that was offered and they were willing to accept it, I would jump on that in a heartbeat.
Hold on, G. You think the Jets going to just accept Zach Ertz for Adams?
Well, did you not just mention that Zach Ertz is one of the top 3 players in the NFL?
He is, bro. But and you just said that Jamal Adams is in his 4th year and Zach Ertz is very long in the tooth.
Well, he's getting up there. He's not Tony Gonzalez old, because Tony Gonzalez played about 15 years, so Zach Ertz isn't that old.
Right, but still,
he is still one of the 3 top players in the NFL at his position, behind Travis Kelce and George Kittle. But Zach Ertz is a damn good football player.
See, that's your Eagles love talking, though, with that straight-up trade. I don't think that's realistic.
Well, I just mentioned about it being a possibility. I didn't say that the Jets would accept it, but if that was something that was offered and they were willing to accept,
I would jump to, of course,
in a heartbeat.
Right.
So I think on the defensive side of the ball, the Eagles just need to tie down some loose ends. I don't like their linebackers. Historically, over the years, the Eagles have not paid enough attention to the linebacker position. It pisses me off from season to season to see them pass on linebackers from Penn State. Anybody that follows sports and knows sports know that certain colleges produce players at specific positions. If you want to get a D-back, a defensive back, you draft one from LSU, Florida, or Ohio State. If you want to get an offensive lineman, get one from Michigan or Wisconsin. If you want to get a linebacker, you draft them from Penn State. So that's in our same state. And I've seen year after year after year, the Eagles have passed on some of the best linebackers in the NFL. They passed on Sean Lee when he was available. They passed on Navarro Bowman coming out of Penn State. They passed on Brandon Short, and a number of other guys over the years. So I really don't like that they do that. And at the linebacker position, the way that the NFL is played today, you need to have versatility, guys that can cover the pass and stop the run as well. But I see the Eagles coming in number 2 in the division, which leads me to number 1. I think Dallas is the front runner to win the NFC East this year. There's been a trend with the division. No team has repeated as division champion in quite some time, in about 15 years. It goes all the way back to the Donovan McNabb, Andy Reid era Eagles, were the last NFC East team to repeat as division champion. Dallas had a solid offense last year. They statistically were the number 1 offense in the NFL. They did add CeeDee Lamb to their offense in the draft, unfortunately. Now, Dallas did lose their center. Travis Frederick was a Pro Bowl center, and he retired early due to injury, but they did draft a replacement. They drafted a center out of Wisconsin. Like I just mentioned, Wisconsin produces
offensive linemen
like a tree produces fruit. So they let Jason Witten go. Jason Witten is beyond his prime by far. So Blake Jarwin to step in and Jeff Swain as their top tight end additions. Dak Prescott, he signed his franchise tender, so he's in the fold. They did make some additions on defense. They drafted a safety out of Alabama. They added a solid cornerback. They did sign Gerald McCoy as a free agent. And players that they had injured are coming back healthy. So, and Dallas also, their biggest move of the offseason was signing Mike McCarthy as their head coach. Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning head coach, and he's definitely an improvement and an upgrade over what they had for all these years with Jason Garrett. So I see Dallas as being a front runner to win the NFC East this year.
What about the lack of a pass rush in Dallas? What about the lack of a secondary in Dallas? I mean, those things are concerning. You let Byron Jones go and didn't really replace him, and that defense, that secondary wasn't that good with Byron Jones.
Well,
So
Dallas
and then hold on. Then G, you got two guys coming back from suspension. You're hoping that they come back from being basically kicked out the NFL. What's my man's name?
Alden Smith and I forgot about
and Gregory.
So I'm not even thinking about Randy Gregory. If Randy Gregory is able to play, great. If not, he is no love lost. Alden Smith can play football, and I forgot that they added him. So Gerald McCoy played a solid season last year for the Carolina Panthers. They did sign Gerald McCoy in the offseason. DeMarcus Lawrence can play.
They don't get to the quarterback though, right, Jay?
Marcus Lawrence got a big contract for a reason. So putting Gerald McCoy, Robert Quinn on the same line with DeMarcus Lawrence, and then adding Alden Smith with the other players that they got, Dallas has a solid foundation on their defense. They have some solid linebackers. Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch he
got hurt. He coming back from a major injury, right?
I believe it was a shoulder injury or something along those lines, but it wasn't something that was like career threatening. He should be good to go. Sean Lee signed back on board to come back again. And like I mentioned, they did draft the safety out of Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. No, they got a corner out of Alabama, and they drafted a safety as well. But they did some things in the draft to add to their weaknesses on the defensive end. So if you take their firepower on offense and game planning on defense, I think Dallas will be fine and they'll be good to go. So I think things will work together. Also, being as though that they didn't win the division last year, Dallas is going to be playing a second-place schedule. The Eagles are going to be playing a first-place schedule, so they're going to have to play tougher opponents. So you have to take that into account also.
All right. So episode 3, y'all remember, G. Perry picked the Cowboys, the number 1 Eagles fan, and I picked the Eagles. All right, so we're going as the year go on, we're going to come back to these we got the stuff in place. So when you try to switch it up, we know what he said already, and you know what I said already. Let's get to these NBA players opting out of playing. We got Avery Bradley, we got Trevor Ariza, Davis, Bertans.
Davis Bertans for the Wizards.
Right. What sticks out to me is Avery Bradley because he's more likely in a position to win a championship than the other guys. The Wizards, even though they're playing, they're not in contention. I think Trevor Ariza with Portland, right?
Yes.
And unless they get super hot, they won't be in contention. I'm curious, and I know you're going to say something about it, but I have a question also. I wonder, do you think these players sitting out has an effect on how – and they're not going to ever speak on it, but how teams look at them for sitting out?
No.
Okay.
Avery Bradley is sitting out for family reasons. He has a son that has a history of respiratory issues.
Which is understandable.
So the NBA players with the bubble, the players and their families are coming to Orlando. So he to his thinking, he didn't think that his son was going to be approved to be able to come there. So family first, health is more important than him playing basketball. And I'm sure Avery Bradley isn't broke. He's been in the NBA for a number of years. So he has to put the best interest of his family first before deciding to come back and play basketball. Davis Bertans, he's coming up on free agency, and he played pretty good this year for the Wizards. He came from the Spurs. He was in the Spurs rotation for years, but he was just a rotational player. With the Wizards, he got to play a lot more this past season, and he showed a lot that he could really ball and do some nice things. I mean, he's a big forward. He's about 6'10". He's a dead-eye shooter, can knock down the three consistently. He's a sniper, and I think he wants to just make sure that he doesn't put himself at risk, because one of the things that we talked about recently with the NBA returning is that players can be susceptible to injuries because they have not been playing basketball for the last 3 months. Now you're in a quick, short period of time, you're going to go through a brief training camp, and then you're going to get right back to playing and things of that nature. The body might not be set up to have that quick snapback like that. That definitely could be an issue. So I don't see anything wrong with Davis Bertans choosing not to restart the season. The other thing you got to take into consideration is that the Washington Wizards is not realistic that they're going to be able to catch up to Orlando for the number 8 spot and actually make it to the playoffs. So it's no point in them really doing it. I can see him being reluctant to coming back for that little bit of time and all the protocols that he would have to go through. Davis Bertans is also going to miss out on $520,000 with him opting not to come back and play. Now, in Trevor Ariza, he can miss out on anywhere from $1 million to $1.8 million with him not coming back.
Right.
Difference in that money is whether Portland made the playoffs and was able to go on and to continue to play or not. So I don't see any issue with those guys opting to not return. I mean, to each his own. This is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. And I don't think the NBA would hold any weight against those guys for making that decision, because it's just so much going on. You got to be realistic. You got to be honest, and it's only fair to allow people to be free to their own decisions and choices, and not behind it.
The thing you said about Bertan, he about to get a check as a stretch forward. I think he's stretch forward that can shoot the ball. He's going to be. I think he's going to get out of Washington and get somewhere, and somebody will give him some money.
Yeah,
definitely, which makes sense. How big to you would a Clippers championship be? They've never. Maybe I'm wrong. The Clippers never won a championship, right?
Absolutely not. They were notoriously the worst organization in sports for years, for decades.
Right. So how big do you think it would be?
It would be monumental. LA, basketball-wise, has been owned by the Lakers for forever. That's Lakers country. So for another pro sports team, for the stepbrother to finally come in and step up and take the reign, and they become world champions, that would be monumental. The Clippers were horrible for years, man. They weren't winning anything. That was like basketball purgatory. The Clippers were god-awful and bad year after year after year. They even had top draft picks, but they didn't develop talent well. Elgin Baylor was their general manager, and you just knew they weren't going to be anything. They had a few years here and there, even in the 90s when they made the playoffs. I think Louis Vaught was probably their best player at the time. Stanley Roberts was there, but they just were not a good organization consistently. And then you spin it forward to present-day Clippers with Doc Rivers being a coach. You had Blake Griffin, you had Chris Paul, you had DeAndre Jordan, so you had Lob City. And Lob City Clippers, they were a lot better. They were winning. They were making the playoffs and things of that nature. Unfortunately, the Clippers weren't able to get over that hurdle and make it to the conference finals. They blew it years ago against the Houston Rockets. So to go from all those years of losing to now winning an NBA championship, that would be huge and monumental.
I don't think there's a chance of it because of all this backlash. All the things you just said is the reason why it's like, man, it's impossible. You know what I'm saying? Like when y'all had the Lakers down, because it was when you had Lob City, the Lakers, you weren't checking for the Lakers. You had a hurt Kobe, and then you had the years after that when they had an opportunity with Chris Paul, one of the best point guards in league history when you look back. Blake Griffin in his prime, DeAndre Jordan. They had plenty of pieces. So for me, I mean, it would be amazing, I think, but I just really feel like they need to get away from the Staples Center and just have their own situation. I think that'd be better for them. The fact that every time you go play, they just got to the point where they start covering the banners, the Lakers banners, because before that they wasn't doing that. So, and then it's like, that health, man, is healthy Paul George, healthy Kawhi Leonard. You can have all them pieces, and if those two guys ain't right, like we said, like you were just saying about the guys who's sitting out now, that time off could help or hurt a player like a Kawhi Leonard or a Paul George. I think it would be major for them, but I mean, even with one championship, when you sitting there looking at 17 or 18, I can't remember the number. I think it's 18. What do one really do? So I think it would be major, but then it's still small compared to what LA has done.
Well, the other factor in that is that Kawhi Leonard is on that team. So if Kawhi Leonard was to win a championship this year, that would be the third different franchise that he won an NBA title with. And if the Clippers win a championship, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Kawhi will probably be the Finals MVP. So you have him and LeBron. They're both competing to do something unique. I think whatever one were to accomplish it will be the first player to lead 3 separate franchises to an NBA championship. So you have that aspect of it as well, which will be monumental. I mean, if Kawhi was to win a 3rd championship with his 3rd organization and 3rd Finals MVP, then the noise would be a lot louder of people talking about him being the best player in the NBA and definitely not LeBron if that was to occur.
Okay, not LeBron. What about Giannis? So you think if Kawhi wins a championship, is because I mean everybody was ready to say Giannis is the best player in the league.
Well, let me repeat that for you. If Kawhi Leonard wins his 3rd championship and he's the Finals MVP again, Kawhi just won the championship last year. Right. Who did they eliminate in the Eastern Conference to make it to the finals?
I understand all that, brother. All I'm saying is a lot of people consider.
I don't care
more than LeBron.
I don't care what a lot of people consider. You got to use common sense. Michael Jordan went head-to-head with Clyde Drexler back in 1992 in the NBA Finals. People were talking about Clyde Drexler being on Michael Jordan's level. So Michael Jordan went out and said, I'm going to show y'all that he's not on my level, and he dominated. Right. He continued to dominate. So if Kawhi Leonard continues to win championships, how could you dare say that somebody else is not the best if he keeps leading his team to the ultimate prize in the game? Basketball is about winning at the end of the day. I don't care what stats Giannis put up. If he can't lead his team to a championship and Kawhi keeps winning, it's obviously a reason why Kawhi keeps winning.
All right, so you're saying
he went against that team head to head, and he was down 2-0, and then they won 4 straight games. And the change and adjustment that Nick Nurse made was putting Kawhi Leonard on Giannis, and he shut him down. Right. So I don't see how anybody could come up with something different if Kawhi was to win another championship again. That's what I'm saying. If Kawhi,
I understand that, but
and his 3rd Finals MVP, come on, man.
But what you're saying is now, what you said was if a team, when Golden State won a championship against LeBron in 2 years, Kevin Durant was a better player than LeBron?
I didn't say that. You're saying it.
I'm asking
you're not hearing me clearly, brother. Let me tune in clearly so you can hear me loud and clear. Kawhi Leonard won the NBA Finals MVP last year. He led his team to the championship.
Right.
If the Clippers wins the NBA championship this year, it will be because of Kawhi Leonard. And 9 times out of 10, he'll probably be the Finals MVP. So that will be 3 Finals MVPs with 3 completely different teams. And he would be the first player to lead 3 separate organizations to an NBA Finals and have that Finals MVP. Nobody else did that before. So now he already won the Finals MVP. He already won a championship in the East and in the West. Now he went back to the West where the teams are loaded.
I heard you perfectly. I heard you perfectly, G. But this is what I'm saying to you, right? Perfect example. The year when the Lakers played the Sixers in the finals, right? Lakers swept the West, swept the whole West. Who led the Lakers when they swept the whole West?
Shaq.
Kobe beat
Shaq.
Shaq. When they swept the whole West, Kobe led that team.
Shaq.
In the finals, Shaq led that team in the finals and went off. But I'm a Laker fan. Believe me, I know. We went 12-0 in the West.
Who won Finals MVP?
Shaq did.
Okay.
Because in the finals,
led that team.
No,
Shaq
bro. No.
Led the Lakers.
No, G.
Shaq led the Lakers.
G, through the Western Conference, Kobe was killing everybody. Kobe had better stats than Shaq from the first round to the Western Conference Finals. In the finals, Shaq killed it. Now, from what I'm gathering, what you're saying, we're taking the team aspect of things. As much as you're saying, okay, Kawhi Leonard has 3 league finals MVPs. He does.
Kobe Bryant is rolling over in his grave right now, just so you know.
Hold on.
Kobe Bryant is rolling over his grave right now.
Kobe Bryant is like, finally. That's what Kobe Bryant is saying. Finally, somebody acknowledges it. You get what I'm saying? But like you saying, so what you're saying is that Kawhi Leonard won a finals MVP in San Antonio. Kawhi Leonard won a Finals MVP in Toronto. And more than likely, if the Clippers were to win, Kawhi Leonard will win the Finals MVP with the Clippers, right? I understand what you're saying. In the same token, without that 15.4 quarter or that second half or them 2-3 games by what's little light skinned man name on Toronto? he had a hell of a game.
Fred VanVleet.
Right. So it's a team aspect, G. Now, I understand what you're saying. I respect what you're saying. But in the same token, you get 3 championships and you get them you get them finals MVPs because of the team, not because of an individual, is what I'm saying. Now, I'm not questioning the fact that is Kawhi Leonard definitely top 3 player in the league? Yes. But as easy as you made it seem so easily to say that because he's been a finals MVP for 3 years, that would make him the best player in the league. And hold on, I got another situation for you. When Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons was busting Michael Jordan in the Mavs, was Isaiah Thomas a better player than Michael Jordan? I don't think so. So, end of the day, you can be a better player, but not be on a better team and lose.
When players play head-to-head and they play similar positions, the person that win is the reason why they win. I'm not trying to hear that's a team game BS. Was Fred VanVleet on the Toronto Raptors last year before Kawhi Leonard was there?
Yeah.
Okay, what did he do then? Did he step up and lead them to anywhere in the playoffs?
Hold on, G. All right, now you say that. Hold on. Now,
let me ask you a question. You
asked me a question, right? He didn't. But, and I can't. And
why?
I'm sorry, y'all. Listen,
why?
I can't. Hold
because
on.
Weapon X.
Hold on.
Because Weapon X was not there. That's why.
What's my man name number 43?
For who? Pascal Siakam?
Right. He was there too the year before.
Did he step up and lead them anywhere?
Because he got better, G. You can't get better.
Why did he get better? Because Kawhi Leonard was there and he able to feed off a star player being there to lead the charge.
Okay. Now, you said that. Was Siakam not an all-star this year without Kawhi there?
Yes.
No, G. No, G. You said no, G. You said he got better because he was with Kawhi.
Yes.
Okay, so Kawhi left, and he's even better this year.
That's right. Because he got more opportunities.
Because
he got more opportunities. He got to learn from the leader. It's no different than LeBron going to Miami to go learn from Dwayne Wade, learn how to win a championship. He had to go there to learn that leadership. He didn't have that in him on his own. So when he went there with Dwayne Wade, he had to learn from him, and then it elevated him to the next level. He was able to take that and carry it to Cleveland, and then he was able to lead them to a championship. So Pascal Siakam absolutely got better as a byproduct of playing with Kawhi Leonard because he learned some of the fundamentals, some of his intangibles, how to be a champion. There's a lot of stuff that he learned from playing with him as a direct result. Kevin Durant benefited from playing with the Golden State Warriors. He learned how to become a champion. He wasn't a champion before he went there. He had to go there to become a part of their culture. So there's a direct correlation.
Right, but you can't put
benefiting from playing with an elite player, an alpha player. DeMar DeRozan was there before. He couldn't carry that.
Gee, and it's a benefit from working on your game and getting better every year. It's a benefit from that, too. You can't just discount that.
Got it. Got you.
This is what it's about right here, baby. This is what it's about right here. I love it. We about to end out. Is something else you want to talk about real quick? We got a list. I know we ain't hit everything. We're going to get to everything eventually. So I want to hit the main shit. Is there something else you want to get to? We got a few minutes, G.
I don't know if you have your list or not, but we definitely want to touch on the top 10 athletes of all time out of Philadelphia.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. We'll start at 10 and go down, then we'll discuss it. So you'll tell your 10, I'll tell my 10 until we get the one.
All right, go ahead.
No, I got to go first. Hold up.
No, go ahead. I got it. So in no particular order, but these are my 10 people. I have Eric Williams. Offensive tackle, played for the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s.
Right.
Kyle Lowry, Rasheed Wallace, Dawn Stelly, Matt Ryan, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Joe Frazier, Bernard Hopkins, Kobe Bryant, and Wilt Chamberlain is my list.
Okay. So at 10, talking from my heart, I got Rasheed Wallace, Simon Gratton. 9, I got Kyle Lowry, champion. 8, I got Dawn Stelly. Come on, it's Dawn Stelly. 7, Mike Piazza. 6, Joe Frazier. 5, Marvin Harrison. 4, Mike Trout. 3, Wilt Chamberlain. And I know you got an issue with that because you feel like Wilt Chamberlain's the greatest in the world. 2, Bernard Hopkins. And 1, Kobe Bean Bryant. So what issues you got with my list, G?
I got an issue with my own list. I made a mistake. Marvin Harrison is definitely supposed to be on my list.
Right.
Yeah, I made a mistake because he
You got Mike Trout on there?
No, first of all, let me correct the nonsense you just said out of your mouth. Is Norristown Philadelphia?
Oh, you from Norristown?
Yes.
Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why I didn't put Mike Piazza on there. I would have if he was really from Philly, but Norristown is not Philadelphia.
So Mike Piazza from Norristown
And Mike Trout is from South Jersey. He's not from Philly.
Okay.
So they're not getting on my list.
All right.
Because they're really not from Philly. I mean, we gave Kobe the benefit of the doubt, being right out in Lower Merion, but so Mike Piazza, Mike Trout, they can't get on my list because they're not really from Philly.
But you ain't had Marvin Harrison on there though?
No, that was a mistake. That was not intentional because Marvin Harrison was actually supposed to be on my list.
Okay.
That was a mistake. So our lists are pretty similar. They're pretty similar. So I don't really have no issue with your list, with the exception of the non-Philadelphia residents that you.
Right. All right. Let me ask you to finish him off. Name one talent out of the city who you thought was going to be major and it didn't pan out.
Rest in peace, Eddie Griffin.
Yo, you getting on my nerves. That's who I had. Ed was special, man.
Yeah,
even in the league, he was like at Seton Hall, he was a double off the bat at the 3. And I think that's another guy who would be fun to watch in the league right now because he could probably be a 4, and he probably would have got his 3-point game up. I hate when guys don't, and I'm not talking about Eddie in particular, but I hate when, like a J.R. Smith, guys who are aggressive and used to drive the lane, just because you get a jump shot, they stop doing it. You know what I'm saying? But I think Ed would have been perfect for right now, man. That was sad to see him pass away. Yeah,
he had off-the-court troubles. He had some issues with alcoholism and things of that nature, and he ended up tragically losing his life way too early. Mm-hmm. But we appreciate y'all tuning in to the show, to episode 3. Again, you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at gperry215. You can find me on Facebook at Granville Goldsmith. Definitely hit the like button on YouTube for the NT Sports Blitz. Subscribe as well. And go ahead, Neef.
We NT Sports Blitz, N.T.Sports Blitz with a Z podcast on anywhere you listen to podcasts at. We on YouTube. If you're watching this, you know that. We on Twitter, NT Sports Blitz podcast, Instagram, NT Sports Blitz podcast. We're both involved, but I deal with them on a daily basis. And if you want to find me personally on Facebook, it's Hanif Wilkins Castle on Facebook. And we appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody watching. If you're watching, we appreciate you. And if you can't watch, you can always go to those other streams to listen.
Spotify.
You ain't got time to sit back here and watch.
All right. Well, thanks again.
AG, man, we brought the fire. Got a little argument. It wasn't all peaceful this time. So we're going to bring that fire. We only getting better. So y'all just stand by, all right?
All right. We see y'all next week.
Yeah. Shit. There you go. Do you have technical issues?